Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today my topic is live music that was around in the late 80s to probably mid 90s. I just wanted to talk about the highlights and just sort of reminisce. I've been looking at some old photos and it just got me thinking about what was so special and so fabulous about that time. Of course, I was in my 20s, so youth is always, a good thing. The highlights I think were the huge number of bands that were actually playing, every night of the week back then. I loved it. I thought it was great. And 3 to 4 nights a week minimum, you could just, check out a gig guide, call your friends, get a taxi to the gig, and off you go. It was fantastic. Midweek, there was no problem going to work the next day. We had the energy. We just did it. Obviously, I can't do that now. And I don't go out as frequently as I did back then, but it was just a really healthy scene. And the quality of the bands was fantastic as well. Um, Something was thinking about that I felt was a little bit different to, later times was when you did go and see a band, before, during, and afterwards, it was always just a really great atmosphere, very social kind of vibe and excitement in the club or pub. Especially even I remember in the 80s, we would have the band on performing, and then afterwards the DJ would get on and put on the top 20 dancing songs, and everyone would get up and dance. It was just a really social kind of scene. I felt more so than sometimes, I don't know, later it felt like the band would play and then everyone would just go home. So that was always a lot of fun back then. There were no phones, obviously, so people weren't, obsessed with taking photos and uploading them on social media. Just a very, I don't know, inspiring kind of scene. Lots of really good music out there. I think a lot of the pub rock Aussie bands that were on probably inspired the other kind of indie bands that came along when Triple J kind of nationalised and all those big day out festivals came on board. um, you know, yeah, grunge kind of came along, and it felt like it just felt like there was a disappearing scene. Probably, I think it was about 95, maybe 96. And I don't know what happened, whether it was a combination of the scene in Sydney, where Sydney kind of became a bit gentrified in the actual city, and the geography of where these bands was playing. Like I came from the west, but I had a car and I traveled everywhere, so it didn't bother me. But not everybody was like me and my friends. We were actually obsessed with music and traveled everywhere, up and down, the coast of New South Wales sometimes. So the geography of suburban Sydney kind of, I think, may have contributed to the demise of live music. Obviously, the Whitlams wrote about it in that song about, the pokies taking over. I think the liquor licensing fees were astronomical at one point, and a lot of hoteliers probably looked to pokies to kind of, just, be able to make money, make some profits. So as well as that, don't know, I think the drink driving hardened, sort of policy on that could have contributed as well. Not everybody could sort of get in taxis and travel great distances to see bands. Don't know, there seemed to be a changing attitude towards that particular kind of music. And I don't know, I think a lot of younger people were into dance, R&B, rap, and things just started to change. Venues were closing left, right, and centre, and the bands even started to kind of disappear, or if they were playing, they weren't really playing anywhere where we could find them. So I don't know. There seemed to be a lot of cover bands, karaoke, just people that wanted to play poker competitions, and it just felt like the scene really started to slide downhill, which was a shame because, I don't know. I really enjoyed those, 10 years of a healthy live music scene, and it's, just a shame that that did happen. Some of the venues that I did frequent were venues that a lot of them aren't around today, but One of the first places I went to was Collector Tavern at Parramatta. Obviously, being from the western suburbs, I tried to frequent, places that weren't too expensive with a cab. Um, or yeah, I drove. The General Burke at Parramatta, great venue. Lots of really good bands played there. Yeah, Springfields, Cardoma, uh, Salinas, the Lansdowne, the Annandale, the Bridge. Some of these venues are still around, obviously, and they do have live music. Yeah, the bands, some of those bands that were playing back then are still playing now, which is great to see. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about just that particular period where I happened to be in my 20s. It was a thriving, healthy, local live music scene where, yeah, people just really enjoy themselves, and young people in particular were able to be entertained, have fun, and just enjoy life. We didn't sort of spend a lot of our time on any gaming devices, or there wasn't any social media back then. And I don't know, I think that was probably a good thing. I think yeah, today's youth, and especially during COVID, it's a bit tricky for them to kind of find outlets to have fun. But yeah, I just wanted to come on and just have a quick chat about all that scene that was around, how much fun it was. And yeah, even something that I noticed was that when I was in my late teens and early 20s, it was more the alcohol and probably weed that seemed to be the predominant choice for kids to, or for children, for young adults to indulge in. Whereas I found that in the mid 90s, some of the harder drugs or just pills kind of took over, and with that came the sort of music that sort of people could keep dancing to for 20 hours. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of come on and talk about that. And I hope that some of you might, drive past some of these suburban pubs in Sydney and not just think of them as an old relic. Maybe a lot of them could have been, I don't know if a lot of them are still around, but there are still some that you can find if you're in Sydney. So, yeah, just go out and check out a pub somewhere, see whether there's any live music, and just enjoy. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you at a gig sometime. Cheers.